what was I thinking about? Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like it's you could think about it as like being a painter, where it's like I've got 30 high quality paintings ready to go, and now it's just a question of getting into a gallery or getting the visibility or everything like that. But you could also think about it as like a drug dealer, in the sense of like you've got pure product, kind of the best product in, or some of the best product in the market. But then, there's a lot that goes into it, because it's like if you have great product but you're just sitting on it in your garage, that's not going to get it done. So then it becomes a question of distribution and visibility and network and stuff like that. But that's the exciting part, that it's all exciting really, but that is allowing me to put kind of my business hat on. Because, they say that, like, Prince said that art and business don't mix. And I respect that opinion. I also respectfully would offer that it can mix if done right. I'm not one of those people that equates popularity with quality. Meaning, just because you're popular doesn't mean you're making great music. There's a lot of politics and dynamics and even luck that goes into, being popular these days, especially. But I made this song, by the way. But in terms of, but I do think popularity is an indicator of at least a baseline level of quality. Because it's like sometimes I'll hear music and I'll be like, no matter who you are, you're not gonna go anywhere with these songs. So and by baseline level of quality, I mean mostly like, the production value is good enough, like the subject matter is relevant enough to not be so extremely niche that people can't relate to it, like, those kind of basic ideas. So I think popularity is like an indicator of baseline quality, but it doesn't equate to high quality. Sometimes it does, like a Michael Jackson or a Prince, but other times it doesn't. Like, name whoever is super popular these days who you don't think is particularly good. But that's kind of a sidetrack. But just in terms of like having product and figuring out kind of all the layers on top of it. And like, to be real with you, like, I'm very selective about who is going to contribute to that mission, because it's like, when you have a pretty good sense of like what you have, you don't want to just trust anyone with it. This is another one called Xeroxy. I made this around the pandemic time. It was part of a project called I Don't Want to Be Famous, really. And it's one of the songs that I've made that I think I will keep as part of the EP it came from, instead of just releasing it loose. Anyway, but yeah, so, the music game is kind of like what's the best way to describe it? I mean, I don't have intimate knowledge of the drug game, to be fair. And music isn't quite as dangerous and outlawed. I think sports comes to mind, but sports is different, man. Sports is different, in a lot of ways. But just from my degree in music business from Berklee College of Music, and also living in the industry, I'd say the music game is most like the college admissions game. It's mostly like the college admissions game, I would say. Why? Because, some people are born with unbelievable advantages. Like I was. If you can make it to the top prep schools, which start even in preschool, you know, it puts you on a track to get into these schools, but you still have to perform. And the only reason I'm making this comparison is because it's kind of the world I know. And it also kind of makes sense too. You know, I think the main difference obviously is just the scope. You know, if you want to like top the Billboard charts and everything like that, like, but I would say like it still has to do with your advantages, but also anyone theoretically could make it into these schools. It just requires kind of a great application. And these days your application, like, I think the equivalent of SAT scores and the equivalent of standardized tests is kind of like your presence online, you know, because that's what makes it, it's almost like a prerequisite. I mean, I know that's changing these days with the schools, but it's almost like a prerequisite these days. It's like they've got to see those high numbers so that you can qualify. That might be how more of what it was like back in the day for me. I think that's changing, but that's kind of part of the application. And then I think honestly the top schools are kind of like the record labels, you know, in the sense that they have so much power in this game already. Like, think about all the artists that you love and respect who stayed independent in their careers and just never quite made it to that top tier level of exposure. You know, I'm not going to name names, but just like most artists who have a following or have a fan base but have not signed to a label have trouble really getting to that upper echelon. So I'd say like the record labels, it's interesting. Yeah, the record labels are kind of like the top schools, you know, in the sense that they are in a position to approach you and look at your numbers, but your application is more than just your fan base. You know, it's your age, to the extent that music is objective, the objective quality of your music, the strength of your vision, your personality, like, you know, it's all part of it. And having said that, even if you do sign to a major label, it's no guarantee of success. You know, some people kind of get dropped or just aren't able to convert off a great first album. But it's a significant launch pad, and it can put you in a constellation that can help propel you to higher heights. I mean, there's a reason why so many students dream about getting into their top school, you know? And I don't know what these Gen Z kids are doing with college and everything these days, but it still seems to be important. So yeah, that's what I would say. It's similar to that. You know, it's deeply unfair. And I think I think advantages look different in the music game than they do in the college admission game, but not that different depending on your genre. You know, like, for example, like in hip hop, like where you're from matters a lot, and the community you have around you and the circumstances under which you grew up matters a lot. You know, in the pop world, having a family who can fund your dream matters a lot, you know? So yeah, those are just my thoughts. This is almost a 10-minute video. I'm in the studio. This is a song called Pick Your Poison. I made this some time ago, and it's an interesting record. I'm looking forward to sharing it more one day, but yeah, these were just kind of my off-the-cuff thoughts, and hopefully this has given you some food for thought. And yeah, stay trill.